Duncan Keith and Steve Larmer are in the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. NHL 26 is off to a rocky start, and Mario's got his roster predictions for the forwards group coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. Happy Friday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
Made it to Friday.
We made it. Another week closer to the NHL season.
Yes.
Another day closer to the opening of camp.
Yes.
All sorts of stuff. We're gonna make it. We're this far. We're almost there.
Far. What's 2 more weeks?
Right. We got this far, so let's go. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. If you're listening on the podcast, we love and thank you. Do us a favor this weekend. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify. We'd appreciate that very much. Feel free to be critical in the comments, but just make sure it's 5 stars. That's cool. That's a compromise we'll give.
Yeah.
Helps us get some visibility in the podcast world, and just like the like button and subscribe button does on YouTube. All very important. Great ways to help us out. A lot to get to today. We have our inaugural Hall of Fame class for the Blackhawks, Steve Larmer and Duncan Keith. NHL 26 early release was today, and I was very excited to bring all kind of fancy graphics and stuff to the show, a bunch of screenshots, and then I got stuck in my connecting screen for about 15 minutes before I had to leave for work. So we're going to hit pause on that, but I'm not going to hit pause on ranting about that because that annoyed the hell out of me. And Mario today put out his prediction for the forwards of the roster group for the Blackhawks this year. So a lot to get to, but let's start with the big news of the day. Duncan Keith, Steve Larmer, they are part of the inaugural class of the Blackhawks Hall of Fame that will be launched as part of the centennial celebration. Also joining them in the Hall of Fame are the players with their numbers already retired. I don't know if I need to remind you who those people are.
Sure.
But I'm happy to do it. It's Chris Chelios, Tony Esposito, Glenn Hall, Marian Hossa, Bobby Hull, Keith Magnuson, Stan Mikita, Pierre Plot, and Dennis Savard. And now you add Duncan Keith and Steve Larmer to that list. April 11th against the Boston Bruins will be the night those players are honored.
St. Louis Blues.
Oh, Blues. I'm sorry.
Blues,
yeah, I read it wrong. Blues. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Good. I think the way that they set up their Hall of Fame, internal Hall of Fame, with the the media vote, the fan vote, and I guess there was also was there a team vote, something like that? When I read through the email, it was fans voted on by fans, media, and I think also team personnel. So maybe it was just people within the front office, just logged on to the same link we had.
Fans, alumni, and media.
Alumni. Okay,
yep.
That's what it was. Yeah, I mean, I think it's completely fitting. You can make a case for literally every player that was available to vote for on both those lists, both the Heritage era and the modern era. But I think with it being Duncan Keith, he is the next guy that from that Cup era run. After you had Marian Hossa's number retired a few years ago, Keith is the next guy in line that makes the most sense to do that for. So that's on the horizon for him, and the drum being banged for Steve Larmer to also get that honor, to have his number retired for all his contributions as a Blackhawk in his time here in the 80s and early 90s. Like, completely warranted that he gets the nod and the first Blackhawks Hall of Fame class, and who knows, maybe because of this maybe gives a little bit more of the amplification of, retire number 28. Like, I think they're maybe it is, if they haven't done it yet, they might never do it. But this is another like feather in that cap of that conversation to be had.
Yeah, I think this is a notice from the fans of like, hey, this is overdue. Mm-hmm. And I think there's people that are a little bit irritated it's taking this long. I know our buddy Tab Bamford is kind of leads the charge on this whole thing with Steve Larmer, as he should. I mean, look, the guy was great for the franchise, and I don't want to say the franchise has kind of forgotten about him because they haven't. He's going to the Hall of Fame, of course, but 891 games with the Hawks, 923 points. Just an outstanding player, top to bottom, won the Calder Trophy.
Had the Iron Man streak.
Yeah,
for a
Iron
while.
Man streak going on forever, and just was another victim of the Bill Wirtz era of the Blackhawks, where contract squabbles and all these nonsensical things for your great players were commonplace. And look, Steve Larmer does not strike me as the kind of guy who burnt a million bridges on his way out. I'm sure there's other people that have. Steve Larmer is about as passive of a personality as you can get in the NHL, and it is overdue that his number should be retired. It absolutely should be up there. And maybe this is a message from the fans to the Hawks of, hey, let's go. Like, this needs to happen. And we know they're not retiring a number this year as part of the centennial. I'm assuming we'll see several over the next couple of years, because you're going to have to start getting 88 up there, 19 up there when it's over. Duncan Keith's going to be up there for sure.
I mean, he's
probably Seabrook.
He's eligible now because you have to be retired, I think, 3 years out.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, because of requirements. Seabrook will be coming up on that time frame as well. Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine that those are the next guys coming up, but the conversation of Roenick potentially getting 27 retired. I think there's been some nods to that maybe happening, or could be on the horizon as well. You can't retire all of them, obviously, because you're going to eventually run out of numbers.
Yeah.
But I don't think they should do the Bears thing where it's like, we can only retire this amount of like, you only have 23 guys active at a time. You can have some leeway with some retired numbers, especially for guys whose careers absolutely.
This helps them in that regard too.
Yeah, of course. Those players that are on the borderline that you can point to and be like, well, they're in the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. What more do they need to do? I was like, yeah, that is cool. Internal Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, all that kind of stuff. That is cool. But it is something a little extra when it's just like
I agree.
That number is retired.
Well,
Colton Dock, no disrespect to him, but Colton Dock can't wear 28. Or,
it's Burakovsky now is number 28.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. Case in point.
I mean, it's a tough situation because, to your point, I think that number retirement should be reserved for the absolute pillars of the franchise. Mm-hmm. And I want to be very careful here because it's one of my favorite players of all time. But when Marian Hossa's number went up there, it opened the door for a lot of people to have a very legitimate argument. Mm-hmm. Say, whoa, wait a minute. Marian Hossa was brought in as a free agent. He wasn't drafted by the organization. He played fewer games than a lot of guys that should have their numbers up there. Like, if Steve Larmer sees 81 up there and he's like,
yeah,
I know he won 3 cups. That's a huge makes a massive difference. There's no doubt about that. But if we're talking about the individual player, which is what the number retirement is for, Hossa being up there, and from what we understand, that was a big Rocky Wirtz push because Rocky loved Hossa, as we all did. That changes the argument. It's like the Harold Baines in the World Series in the Hall of Fame thing.
Yeah,
it's like, if Harold Baines is in now, and I'm not doing because I'm a Cub fan, it just kind of is. Like, he was always the Hall of the Very Good, and then he gets in, and when things like that happen, it changes the conversation for a lot of people. So I don't want to say that Hossa being up there makes number retirement less exclusive, but it adds probably a dozen names that maybe you wouldn't have considered before that now you have to because he's up there. So, like, if Hossa's up there, should Hjalmarsson be up there? Should Crawford be up there? Like that, like now, those guys were awesome. Don't get me wrong, but Eddie Belfour's number isn't retired.
Right.
Who also, for the record, got my vote for the Hall of Fame, and will continue to until he's in it. you got like the impact on the franchise is it's huge.
And the Hossa number retirement and also the Chelios number retirement.
Yep.
Was, kind of opened that door as well because, Chelios, less than half of his career was here.
Yeah.
Hossa, just barely over half of his career was in Chicago. But, I mean, then you say, okay, Cups and everything. But when Chelios was here, 2 Norrises and, captain of the team and the impact he had.
Local, which helps.
Yeah, local and everything. But, I mean, that, again, was that was a big, Wirtz push for Chelios.
Yeah, I mean, I think of if I'm going through the organization's history and I'm thinking of icons of the organization, Chelios is one of them. Mm-hmm. And again, I love Marian Hossa. I've got his jersey framed in my basement. Like qualifier after qualifier after qualifier. Yeah. It's all true, but I don't think of him as like for me the pillars are Makita, Chelios, Taves, Kane, Keith. And you got to throw Bobby Hull in there, even though I didn't see him play and complicated, blah, 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 bad guy, but whatever.
Yeah, however
was
you
a
feel
pillar
about
of the
him, but
franchise.
still, as a hockey
like
player.
that is a very exclusive club.
Yeah.
But for me, Chelios is on there because he was the best Hawks defenseman ever when he played here. And maybe the best defense. I mean, 2 Norrises, as you said. He had his best years individually as a Hawk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think with Hossa too, like, and Chelios, Roenick, they all have this argument: is complete body of work in the NHL. Like, yes, for a team to retire your number, that's one thing, but also like Hall of Fame worthy careers across the board. So even though they didn't play their entire careers here, or a vast majority of their entire career in Chicago, still what they did in Chicago is recognized and is impactful, but across the league, impactful and recognized as well. That I think that can kind of play into the case too, because I mean, you look at Hossa's numbers here in Chicago, and if you looked at that in the vacuum, you're like, yeah, pretty good player.
They're good
really,
numbers,
really
yeah.
good two-way, impactful guy, and was never necessarily the star of the team that he was on. But you look throughout his career, like, yeah, his best statistical seasons were in Atlanta, and it's he became a star in the NHL in Ottawa, and had chances to play for a cup with Detroit and with Pittsburgh. But it's just like anytime you like think of, I feel like Marian Hossa across the league, when you say like, what do you think of like his best moments? I feel like most to all of them happen in a Hawks sweater. And, for a guy like Chelios, he's got cups with Detroit and Montreal. With Roenick, like he's got, big moments that he had with, his time in Philly and
Phoenix.
In Phoenix / Arizona. But a lot of people, when their first thought of Jeremy Roenick happens, it's in a Hawks jersey. So I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. Like you said, like once Hossa got retired, it opened up the door wider than it had been before. And that's why the Hawks came out with their like, this is our criteria now. And
they had
it's just like, okay, well,
the
there's a lot of guys
that forced that criteria.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of guys that fit the criteria that you're like,
sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I want to be clear. I'm happy 81's retired. I understand why it is. All I'm saying is, if you're saying that if the Hawks are saying number retirement is exclusive, and that's a big part of why we have a Hall of Fame, so other guys can be remembered, cool. But now there's going to be it just changes the argument. Like before, when you had just a few numbers up there, Hull, Makita, Savard, Esposito, Hall. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, those are and Magnuson. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of conversation going on about him, but Magnuson's wasn't so much about the on ice. He was a good player, tough as nails, would do everything, captain, coach for a while. But what he meant to the franchise, even after he retired, with the alumni and everything, like that's a different kind of an acknowledgement for Keith
It's like
Magnuson.
when you hear about like the Hall of Fame and it says like the builders category. He also fits that one as well.
Yes, 100%. All right, we got to hit the break zone. We're going to continue this conversation next. And if you missed it, our takeovers are on sale right now if you're a diehard. So if you're a diehard, check your email, jump in the Discord. The link's in there. You better jump on these. We'll give you all the details coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. All right, let's be real for a second. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Cola has gone soft. Soft drinks have gone soft. You've got acai, blackberry, sparkling water.
Got these sodas that are supposed to be good for your gut.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to help you go to the bathroom better.
I don't need help with that.
I don't need that. I have iron guts because I drink RC Cola. RC Cola is not a soft drink, just damn good cola. It's the original cola that doesn't fold under pressure. RC is an OG cola in a world of spineless soft drinks. No trends, no gimmicks, no glow-ups. They haven't changed since 1905 because why would you when you're already perfect? Get yourself some RC Cola. It tastes like a punch in the thirst. Stock up for all your end-of-summer parties, back-to-school celebrations, or watching the game. Big one on Monday, I'm told.
Yes.
RC is the move for whatever you're doing. RC Cola is not a soft drink, just damn good cola.
I am enjoying RC Cola and False Fall. But,
yes,
as I've said many times about False Fall, it is coming to a close. By this time next week, it'll be back into the 80s.
Nope.
Make sure your AC unit is still ready to go with our friends at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. They've been serving the Chicagoland community for over 50 years, and they can make sure your AC and your furnace is maintained, installed, and repaired for the seasons ahead. 4 seasons, actually.
Oh.
You know? Not just a clever name.
The seasons.
Yes. And right now you can save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems with Four Seasons. AC units starting from $39 a month and AC furnace combos for $57 a month. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all of their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com.
All right, welcome back. Before the break, we mentioned our takeovers for the year. Here they are. December 13th versus Detroit. That begins with a pregame studio tour of our studios here at CHGO Sports. Then we're going to have a happy hour over at Crossroads on Madison, then take their shuttle bus over to the game. January, yeah, hell yeah. January 18th versus Jonathan Taves and the Winnipeg Jets. That's in the dang suite. So if you want to come to that one,
sweet,
you're going to hang out in the suite, food, drinks. Last year, Chris Chelios came out and hung out with us for a little while. So that's the big one, January 18th against Winnipeg. And the final takeover of the season, as of now, April 15th versus the San Jose Sharks. That is the season finale. That's another pregame at Crossroads, and then come watch the postgame with us in studio. So if you want to come after the game, watch us do the postgame live. That's part of the 15th.
Some bleachers.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting reports that some of these are showing up as sold out already.
Yes.
So if that's the case, I would say don't necessarily give up yet, because some people will have them in their cart and then they'll change their mind, or it'll time out, or they get their cards declined or whatever. So they might find a way back out. But right now, these are only on sale for our diehards. So if you want to become a diehard, you can do that right now and then get the info on how to become and how to join us at our takeovers, all chgo.com/join to become a diehard. But check your email, check the Discord, and you'll get that link and that promo code if you're a diehard to get your tickets. It's going to be a great time all 3 nights.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun. I mean, needless to say, I feel like the atmospheres for all of those games are going to be awesome. So I can't wait to experience that with all of our awesome CHGO fans and friends and diehards and all that. Going to be a lot of fun. I love our takeover events. Coming back here and having a studio tour, or the live audience for the final post game of the year will be a lot of fun. Crossroads is right across the street from our offices.
Across the road.
It's just across the road. Love Crossroads. Good food.
Yep.
Good drinks.
Good
all
music.
That. Yeah, great music. You love the music there.
Always playing the Dead there. I love it.
It's perfect. And it's a good time. So jump in. if you are able to get to all three, and tickets, if they are still available, there is a package deal where you get a percentage off for buying all three. So if you can still do that and you want to, you can. So again, jump in, allchgo.com/events. Again, only open to our diehards. If there's tickets available through the weekend, it'll hit the public by Monday, but it's trending like it might not do that. So
yeah,
if you want to be a diehard and you want to go, you got to do it quick.
I want to check availability, but I feel like if I put tickets in my cart, that it's not going to work for people.
It's going to steal it from somebody.
Yeah, so I mean, jump on it now. I would predict that these will be sold out by the end of the night.
And I'm seeing a lot of people in our Discord saying, got my tickets for X dates and all that stuff. Rooney, who's always giving us great questions in the diehard Discord for Mailbag Monday. He did the 3-pack, so we're gonna see Rooney 3 times, which will be a lot of fun. So yeah, it's a great time.
How are we gonna identify? I'm just gonna be looking for Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Just have a Gordie Howe jersey.
Because I just imagine that everyone looks like their avatar.
Yeah.
Like forever, I thought Michael Evans was like some old guy. I didn't recognize who that was in the avatar. Then he changed it to the Russian coach with the bowl cut.
The bowl cut, yeah.
So it's just, we should get name tags. That's what we got to do.
Yeah, sure. And I'll also say a lot of our diehards who come to events regularly, I'm very bad with names and faces. But I've seen these people a lot now, which is great. So I'm much better with names and faces now, and it's a great time.
We appreciate everybody who's already bought tickets and that will cannot wait for these events. So all right, back to our conversation about the Hall of Fame. I have the list, so I saved the list from when it was announced. We can kind of talk about who's going to be next year. Okay. The modern era ballot: Tony Amani, Brian Campbell, Corey Crawford, Eric Daze, Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Brent Seabrook, Patrick Sharp, Andrew Shaw, Steve Sullivan, Jocelyn Thibault, Alexei Zhamnov. And the Heritage era: Eddie Belfour, Doug Bentley, Johnny Gottslig, Dirk Graham, Dennis Hall, Cliff Coral, Chico Mackey, Mush March, Pitt Martin, Bill Mosienko, Troy Murray, Eric Nestorenko, Jeremy Roenick, Doug Wilson.
Now not having Larmer and Keith, I think it gets a little muddy now, because I think those guys were seemingly Larmer might not have been my
Larmer was
top
a bit
runner.
of a surprise for me.
Yeah, I would have thought maybe Belfour.
I thought Belfour or Roenick would have gotten it.
Yeah, but seeing Larmer now get in there, and Keith, I think, was the unquestioned, like, in the modern era, that was the top guy. So now you're getting into that middle zone where it's just like, okay, Hjalmarsson, Seabrook, Crawford, Sharp, like, okay, how do you quantify what the best guy was of that era and their impacts and all that? And the Heritage one, I think, is still tough because of Roenick and Belfour being out there. I feel like they're going to split the vote next year.
I think so too. For me, the modern era is easy. I think it's Seabrook, because I think of this list I rattled off, Seabrook is pretty clearly on top of that list for me. So I think he's in next year almost certainly. But yeah, you're right. I think Belfour and Roenick are going to split the vote until they're both in. Mm-hmm. And then you start talking about these other guys like Troy Murray. Mm-hmm. Certainly. If you want to talk about what Keith Magnuson has done for the organization, Troy Murray's done a ton as a broadcaster, as a ambassador, as all the things that he does for the organization. He certainly deserves consideration. And our buddy Windy City Hockey brings up too, they've got to get Charlie Gardner on this list.
You should, yeah.
The goalie that won the first Stanley Cup and then died a couple months later and just was outstanding, was a team captain as a goalie. Like, you don't want the point of these halls of fame is to remember and to bring back the memories of these players of the past. And Charlie Gardner, I think if you walked around the United Center on a game day and went to a section, can you tell me who Charlie Gardner is? Maybe 10%.
Maybe we
people in the building might be able to do it. So I think it's important that guys like that, especially with the tragic part of the story with him, do get remembered and do get honored. So I hope that he is added to the Heritage Era list for next season, because he deserves to be there.
Yeah, I think when you get into these discussions, like there's just cases to be made for all of these guys, and Doug Wilson is another one. That's a guy that I'm always just like, well,
that's the defensive Larmer.
Why is he not is he not talked about more? Why is there not more push to have 24 retire for all that he did with the Hawks and everything? In his career, like it's just it's a fun problem to have when you have as storied of a franchise and 100 years of hockey like the Blackhawks have had. You've had some really special players that have come through. And when you City Hockey also, talking about Pat Foley.
Yeah.
And maybe they open it up to some other wing of the Hall of Fame where, it's Pat Foley or Eddie Olczyk or like John Weideman. Like
their history of broadcasters is top notch.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd Pettit was Pat Foley's hero. And then you got Foley, and then think about how long John Weideman's been doing this. Is he like? I feel like
30.
Not 30. I think he started in like 06.
Okay,
so he's approaching 20 years.
Yeah.
On the radio, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
Like he is such a good radio play-by-play guy. He does not miss
very regularly voted as one of the best local broadcasters. In Chicago, and
that's why the Hall of Fame is a good thing. But Foley is a guy that should get special recognition, and maybe that's when they do have the physical Hall of Fame at Fifth Third Arena, and you can go visit it. There will be a lot more there about him and about Lloyd Pettit and all those people through the years. Like Harvey Wittenberg is a guy we see every night at games, who a lot of Hawks fans of not your age, but maybe a little bit younger than you. Probably don't even remember his voice as part of the games.
Right.
And he was the voice of the stadium forever, like Gene Honda is now.
Well, and it was fun seeing him involved with the Centennial celebration video with him and Jim Cornelison was a lot of fun. But like being able to recognize some of those guys and some of the people that have had those impacts, but kind of fall into that like quote unquote forgotten time or forgotten era where that mystique kind of gets overshadowed in recent years because of, the cup runs that they went on, but not to forget like those, 2000s, 90s and 80s era players and people that were important to the organization. Just because they didn't win cups doesn't mean it wasn't impactful and wasn't, at the time, like the big thing, the big stars. And, we had, Tony Granato was in yesterday and talked with him before the show. He noticed the seats that we have.
Stadium. It's like the first thing you noticed
from the Chicago Stadium, and just talking about your memories of being there as a kid, as a fan, and his memories going as a player, and he was telling us about for the 1991 All-Star game. He wasn't there as an All-Star, but he was there as a member of the NHLPA for their meetings and stuff. So he went to the game and was there for that experience, and just, how the stadium and that mystique of the Blackhawks just was at that time. You want to be able to commemorate all of that. And when we talked with Jamie Faulkner, it's just like she talked about how do you try and condense all of this into one centennial year celebration. But I think with the Hall of Fame, it's nice that it won't just be this is the one time we're going to do it.
Right.
It's going to be multiple years where they'll be able to do it.
Yes, it's a tough task because you're not going to make everybody happy. Everyone's got an opinion on it, but I like the start. I still wish they would have retired a number, at least one this year, but many of those to come as years goes on. All right, before we hit the break zone, want to remind everybody that we are in our Big Brothers Big Sisters month of giving here at CHGO and All City. You have heard about Big Brothers and Big Sisters for years. They've been operating since the 1900s, the aughts, if you will. One of the most respected and dependable and important charities going these days. We're asking you to kick in a few bucks. Sacrifice a cup of coffee or two to give the Big Brothers Big Sisters. bbbs.org/allcity. That's the way to help. Back in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. Football is back. What an exciting and long start we had last night. And whatever the sport, be it football, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. You can bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, in-game, whatever you're looking for, Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
For all you athletes out there, here's a question. Are you serious about leveling up your game? If you are, the right coach can change everything for you. And now finding the right coach is easier than ever with Eye on the Ball. Doesn't matter if you're a kid just starting out or competing at the top level, you can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. You create your profile, search through coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming to baseball to basketball to football to hockey and many others, coaches are there waiting to coach you up. So what are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach and take your game to the next level. And coaches, you can get a free promo right now for the first 6 months at eyeontheball.net.
All right, still to come on CHGO Blackhawks. I'm going to rip on EA Sports. People love when that happens.
Yeah.
But first,
a day that ends in Y.
Mario had a new feature for allchgo.com today, predicting the forward group for your 2025-26 Blackhawks.
Yeah, I've been kind of going through the different position groups and seeing, how I feel about what it's going to shape up through training camp and how it's going to look for opening night. So I've done goalies. That one's pretty easy. Defensemen, and now forwards came out earlier today. So the long and skinny of it is my top 6 comes out as Andre Burakovsky with Connor Bedard and Ryan Donato. Frank Nazar with the wings of Tyler Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen. Jason Dickinson with Ilya Mikheyev and Oliver Moore. And then I have Lucas Reichel with Nick Foligno and Landon Slaggert. For those interested, my next ups in the extras category, Sam Lafferty, Dominic Toninato, and Colton Dock.
Okay.
So going through this process, it was, a lot of okay, how do I think that these players will pan out through training camp, and what kind of opportunities are going to be open? And we talk a lot about this season with the young players coming in, the roster competitions in training camp. And we've kind of touched on it in the forwards group. There's really only 3 or 4 spots when you look at it. At least to start in training camp, there's only that many spots that you'd say are kind of up for open competition. And, looking at the top 6, I don't really – the only other guy out of the 6 that I mentioned that I feel like has a case to be made to play in the top 6 is Ilya Mikheyev. And even that is just but he's probably more just a third liner.
He's more effective in that role, I think.
That top 6 feels like that's probably what it's going to be.
I agree.
And
you can mix and match it.
Yeah.
But it feels like those 6 guys.
Yeah. And I think it doesn't sound super sexy with Burakovsky and Donato with Connor Bedard. But honestly, that might be the best wing duo he might have had since he's been here, as far as the type of player, and at least with Burakovsky's been to 2 cup or has won 2 cups. He's got an opportunity to kind of maybe get back to some form, and Ryan Donato's coming off a career year. Outside of putting Connor Bedard with Bertuzzi and Teravainen, which just doesn't seem like they're going to do that.
And then you've got one line.
Yeah.
And then Frank Nazar. Then you got Frank Nazar playing with
Donato and Burakovsky.
Yeah, right.
I think that top 6 group feels like that's how it's going to start and probably finish training camp.
I basically agree with you, except I think they're going to start more in Rockford. I think Moore is going to be on the Nazar plan. Unless he has an incredible preseason where he can't be denied. I think they traded for Sam Lafferty for a reason. I think they envisioned Sam Lafferty being part of this team, at least to start the season, probably traded at the deadline, which is totally fine. But I think he's going to play early and see what Moore does in Rockford. I don't see him as I hope I'm wrong. I want as many of the young guys as possible to be on the opening night roster. Don't get me wrong, but I think you don't try. I mean, they traded for him. Like, they made an effort to go get Sam Lafferty. Yeah, and I do think for the most part, he'll probably be your 13th forward when we get into like the dog days of the season. But I think to start, they'll go a little more veteran. I think you're right that Reichel's going to get kind of the first chance to lose the job, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they need to figure out what the hell they have in Lucas Reichel. And we've been patient. We say players develop at different rates and all those. But if Lucas Reichel doesn't show something in the first 20, 25 games, it's beyond time to move on. Like, if you've not gotten the message at this point, because then we'll be, 2.5 years removed from those last few games of the season where he looked like a thing.
That 12-game stint that was like, oh, yeah, that's the guy. And
that 12-game stint has probably bought him
a lot of
another year and a half of, we saw it a little bit.
Well, and then it was, it's, what was it? Kurashev, Reichel, and Athanasiou had some chemistry, and like let's let that line play out, and then Athanasiou got hurt. Oh, that hurts Reichel. It's just okay. Well,
and then Kurashev was a nothing burger last year.
Then you got to be Then I think at that point, then you got to be able to be a guy that potentially can make things happen on your own. And I think Lucas Reichel, he has that skill. It just has not translated consistently enough. And I think this offseason, he's put in a lot of work. More work than I think maybe he's done in previous off seasons, at least more pointed work on specific things. He's been in the weight room, as we've seen on social media. And as he said, going into the off season at the end of last year, he was going to go into more like strategic training and working on specific things rather than maybe just general training of, bigger, stronger, faster, whatever. So I hope that all gets put, into practice once we get to training camp, and we see a, much like with Connor Bedard, like a different version of him. I hope we see an improved, different version of Lucas Reichel. For me, more realistically, yes, I believe Sam Lafferty is probably going to be that fourth line center guy, at least to start the year. But I'm rooting for Lucas Reichel to override that.
That'd be great.
And if Oliver Moore, where I have him right now on that third line with Dickinson and Mikheyev, if Oliver Moore is not in that position, then I want Lucas Reichel to earn that spot.
Yeah.
Because being a fourth line center for Lucas Reichel, I don't think is a good spot.
No, he's got to be. Smith and Pat Maroon did not help his development at all.
He's got to be more than that. I will say though, for his mentality of playing alongside those guys, especially Pat Maroon, and getting kind of, it put into his brain of like the small habits and what will continue to be put into his brain through Jeff Blashill is the little, doing the little things right, the fundamental approach, not cheating the game, like all young players, but I think especially Lucas Reichel, from the messaging we were kind of getting last season with the players he played with and what the coaches were hoping to get out of him. I hope that sets in, because if it does, then those are some of the things that are going to make him a better all-around player, because we know he can be offensively talented, but it's just he's not at the level of you can skate by just being an offensive threat. No. We haven't seen it from him. So if you can be responsible defensively, the small habits, not trying to overstick handle and turning a puck over, being smarter of dump and chase, being harder when you go into board battles, being stronger with the puck on your stick or getting it back from the opponent. Like, if he can be more consistent with that, that's going to make him an even more effective player, and then the offense can hopefully translate from there.
I think the concept of playing him with Maroon and Smith last year, you see what they were trying to do. You're trying to pound into his brain responsible hockey.
Yeah.
And the thought would be, we're going to put you with two guys that play the game responsibly, and you're going to learn from playing with them what you need to do. But I do think also, like, these guys they're professionals, and Lucas Reichel is fully aware of his status with this team and with the organization. And you don't think at some point last year, Lucas Reichel looked at his stat sheet and was like, I have not put up enough points at all. I need to score more. And like, so I think you need, what bothered me about the Maroon and Smith thing was, are you putting him in a position that suits his abilities? No. With Smith and Maroon, he was not. And it almost felt like, and look, we have praised Jeff Blashill for his verbal commitment to accountability and earning your spots and earning your opportunities. And you could argue, of course, that Lucas Reichel did not earn an opportunity beyond the fourth line. But at the same time, you have to look at it fairly and say you're getting a guy who is basically, even if he reaches the defensive responsibility, air quotes, you want him to reach, he's probably still a 65-35 offensive to defensive player.
Sure.
You want him to just be like, hey, man, don't hurt us defensively. Go be fast, go be creative, but just don't hurt us when you're out there.
Right.
You took any ability for him to add offense or to capitalize off the offensive ability of a teammate at all last year. And look, we all know Pat Maroon has fantastic hands. It got him that far in his career because his hands were that good, but he was one of the slower players in the league, if not the slowest.
How dare you?
Craig Smith, a great fourth line character guy, does everything the right way, great example for young players. Craig Smith did everything the Hawks wanted him to do and more when he was healthy. But it's just they never put Reichel in the spot to make him gain that confidence and gain that, okay, I can do this, okay, I belong here. Because I feel like every game that went by with him stuck in the fourth line, he probably lost confidence and lost confidence and lost confidence. And there were certainly opportunities last year where you could have given him a stretch of games in the top six. Maybe he didn't completely earn it, but guess what? You rolled Connor Bedard out there as your first line center every game, and he certainly had games in a row where he was turning the puck over or falling down or not playing defensively responsible, where he had this. I'm not trying to bag on Bedard, but there shouldn't be different rules for different guys because the pedigree is there, right? I think Reichel deserved an opportunity to play in a higher role last year. He was never given it. Hopefully Jeff Blashill sees, hey, here's this guy's skill set. Let's try to make something of it instead of just burying him and saying you're not getting an opportunity until you prove that you're Patrice Bergeron. It's never going to happen. It's an unfair expectation.
Well, I mean, think back. Reichel was given that opportunity, and then he missed the team meeting or whatever that was.
Yeah,
and then was scratched. So it was like he did get into that spot to get that opportunity, but then it was like, okay, then life screws you over. And not that, it's we
no, I know.
We learn the story of, phone dies in the middle of the night, your alarm doesn't go off, you oversleep. That sucks.
Happens
but also
everybody. Yep.
That's
horrible
part of
timing for him.
That's part of, I guess, when you're a professional athlete and you got, just like any of us, if we have meetings and stuff that you have to be there right on time and it's detrimental if you're not there, there's consequences for it. So I think he did get to that point where that opportunity was presented to him and then just wasn't able to let it play out. So I hope he's going to earn those opportunities this year, and I think there is a spot as far as the spots open for the young guys. He's in that group of like a young guy that's going to be competing for time. There are spots open. There's a spot on the fourth line, spot on the third line. Like, if you want to try and say like competition's open for the top six as well, sure. He's going to be in that mix, and he's going to be one of the guys that's going to get opportunities to play in those roles should he earn it.
Well, and I saw someone in the chat ask, why would the Hawks trade for Sam Lafferty and not sign Jack Roslovic? So the idea here is you got a guy that you can trade at the deadline. If you're going to sign someone like Jack Roslovic to the Hawks, it's not going to be a 1-year deal. It's going to be a long. I mean, at least July 1st, you weren't thinking so, right? When you're making these deals, you're getting your roster together. Roslovic, by the way, still unsigned. But with Lafferty, you get to March, it's the deadline. You could just trade him, and then Ryan Green's ready to step into your fourth line. Or Oliver Moore is now NHL ready.
Or you don't want a spot for Colton Dock. Or
exactly.
All those guys,
You don't want a Jack Roslovic, nothing against him, taking up a spot that a kid can have because you got him on a 2 or 3 year deal.
I mean, if you were going to say...
This GM looks to the future instead of the year directly in front of him.
Yeah. If you were to say they brought in Sam Lafferty to be more than just this season, then okay, I would rather have Jack Roslovic than Sam Lafferty,
of course.
I would say. But just as someone who, and as I wrote in the article, like Lafferty is a guy that if you put him in the lineup, you're fine with it because he's not going to kill you in the minutes that he plays. If he finds the form that he had when he was a Blackhawk, 2 years ago, great. Everyone loved him. He was fast. He stood up for teammates. He put in some secondary scoring. Like he was a guy that like built up some status with Chicago before being moved. If he's that guy again, which he wasn't in Buffalo last year, but if he's that guy again, great. Then that's an even bigger plus. But if he's the same guy he was in Buffalo, where he had 7 points in 60 games, like that's a guy that's an easy one to put into the press box when a young guy is ready to go.
I agree. Yep.
And same thing goes for a guy like Dominic Toninato. Like I think he'd be a guy that if he plays in the NHL because you don't have a young guy ready, you're fine with it. He's not going to kill you in the minutes, but as soon as that young guy is ready, he can sit in the press box, and I'm sure he understands, like, that's probably what's going to happen. Or he'll go to Rockford and be on their
Joey
top
Anderson.
line. And exactly.
Right.
And he can go play with Joey Anderson in Rockford. A couple names I see people mentioning in the chat. I will say that I did mention a couple of them in the article. Ryan Green, Samuel Savoie, and Nick Lardis. I have in a category called first call-ups. I believe that those are going to be some of the guys that are going to be looked at as, okay, who is on that cusp of, are we done with you in the AHL? Are you ready to be in the NHL and have that opportunity? We saw Ryan Green make his NHL debut late last season. Savoie and Lardis are guys that are going to play big roles for the Ice Hogs this year. Very likely, I think both of them are going to start in the AHL, but they could be very quickly up to the NHL, depending on how they play, injuries, anything that plays out. And then I also had a category for late season additions: AJ Spellacy, Sasha Boisvert, and Anton Frondel. I believe all three of those players. Granted, some of their seasons may go late into the NHL season.
Yeah.
But even Frank Nazar played in the NCAA, national semifinals and still played 3 games when he made his debut. So for Boisvert, like, he could still make it happen. But I believe all three of those guys are going to play at least a game with the Hawks before the season's over.
And you're going to have some movement too in the forward group. Like, you're
looking
at the UFAs. You've got Foligno, who I don't think they're going to trade Foligno.
I think
he's 37. He's probably going to retire.
Yeah,
he's your captain. You let him.
You could trade Mikheyev. You could trade
Dickinson.
You could trade Lafferty. I mean,
you could trade Reichel. You could trade Doc.
You could do that.
These are the free agents
anybody.
Coming up.
You could trade Frank Nazar. You could trade Connor Bedard.
But you're not going to. I hope
you're not going to.
But those are the free agents: Foligno, Dickinson, Mikheyev, Lafferty, Reichel, Bedard, and Doc are your free agent forwards after next season. UFAs are Foligno, Dickinson, Mikheyev, and Lafferty. And if you're an NHL team, especially now with these new, and they got into it pretty deeply on 32 Thoughts today, I recommend you check that out. Kyle and Elliot got into the new cap rules for the playoffs and stuff. So guys like Mikheyev, who have some decent offensive upside, well-rounded players, but only making like $4 million plus, those guys become very appealing at the deadline or even before. And they were speculating that some teams might trade sooner in the season because of the 75-day double retention. It's like incredibly complicated, and it's going to make the trade deadline boring, and I hate it. But there's going to be a shift in the way GMs think this year. So you'll probably see more trades happening sooner in the season.
You can't do double retention 3-team trades anymore.
Right.
I don't know the 75-day thing.
Yeah, there's some, I don't know. It's very convoluted. I went back and listened to it like 4 times, and I'm just like, my eyes were starting to glaze over.
Yeah. But I think, you might, to that point, see teams maybe trade early so they have a better idea of their cap going into trade deadline before having to figure it out all the week before. I think the thing that'll be interesting with the playoff salary cap and some of those players that you mentioned is like, I mean, Mikheyev's a good player, would be a good player to add at the deadline, but is $4 million for Mikheyev a little inflated for the type of player he is? Is $4 million plus for Dickinson a little inflated for the type of player he is for teams that are going to be contending and going to have to deal with not only the regular season but the postseason salary cap as well? That'll be something that I think might come into play when we talk about making trades for some of those players. But, I mean, I still think that if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see how it shakes out, because the other like wild card here is we don't know what Jeff Blashill is looking for either. Like, as Tony Granato told us yesterday,
sense, but
he's been digging into tape, watching tons of video, and I'm sure he's probably got an idea of, in his mind, who the clubhouse leaders are before camp even opens. Anyone would, in that scenario, taking a new job that's watching videos, all right, they have their day one preseason game 1 lines probably already written out because they want to get looks at guys. But who knows if he sees Ryan Green and says, wow, like, look at the well-rounded game this guy has, and he plays this winning hockey I love so much, he's got to be here day one. Like, he might be looking for things completely different than we are. So that's going to be a wild card too. I also think for the level of status that Andrei Burakovsky has, I feel like we haven't talked about him much. I think he's going to surprise people. I think he's going to be a really nice addition to this team.
I hope so.
He's going to be on the top 6 all year, coming off some injuries, so hopefully he's healthy. And you look at like what happened with Mikheyev, coming off injury, gets healthy, finds his way, because he started slow with the Hawks too. And then when he started to get his stride, Mikheyev was one of the better Hawks down the stretch. So I think Mikheyev could be a really nice piece. I mean, a big forward, 6'3", over 200 pounds. Like you said, fast skater, has 1-2 cups. Like, he brings a lot to this team, and I know it's not Mitch Marner or Brock Besser or whatever, but for the cost, what it costs to get him, I think he's going to be a nice addition.
Yeah, I think it'll work out. I hope it does. And he could be one of those guys that by the end of the season, there's probably going to be some ups and think about Bertuzzi and Teravainen last year. We had frustrations with them at different times for different reasons throughout the year. But when you got to game 82 and you look at the stats, you're like, oh, they had Tyler Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen years. And like, I feel like we could get to that point with Burakovsky where it's just like, if he's playing in the top 6 or he's playing with Bedard, but he's not putting up big numbers, we might get frustrated. But at the end of the year, we might be looking at a guy who puts up 20 goals and 50 points, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's what he can do, So I am very interested to what this group can look like, and if you get back of the hockey card hockey from your top 6, and then Frank Nazar and Connor Bedard take big steps, like you could be talking about all 6 of those players at least 40 points. Probably 5 of them at least in the 50s. Yeah. And then who knows with Bedard, who knows with Nazar if they go above, Bedard should go above 60 points into 70s, maybe 80s. Frank Nazar, I think, has 50-point potential at the very least. Teuvo's had big years where he's put up 70 before. I know that was Carolina, but he could have a jump from his 57 last year. If Donato proves it's not a fluke from his career year last year and puts up another 50, 60-point season. Like,
if he's like, 20 and 30,
like if you get all of that from that group, like, I know it's not flashy, but it's also kind of like, that's solid. That's better. That's better than what they've had in the rotation the last few seasons.
100%. So Burakovsky, health has always been his issue. But if you go back, I'll start with Colorado because we want to talk about at least semi-recent history. 45 points in 58 games, 44 points in 53, 61 and 80, 39 and 49, then had 16 and 49 games in 23-24, and then last year 37 and 79. But again,
what was his?
That's coming off the injury.
What was his cup year in Washington? I know that was already 6 years ago. But
That was 18-19, right?
17-18.
17-18. He had 25 points in 56 games, but he's 22.
But right.
But the full season he played at full health, 61 points in 80 games.
Yeah,
I mean, Colorado.
You look at, again, you said with injuries, all those seasons get shortened and everything, but you look at those paces, that's 40, 50, 60-point paces on those teams.
Yeah.
So he's got the ability to do it. It's just being on the ice. So hopefully he's back and he's healthy and he can get back to, some version of that for himself. So, and that just makes everybody around him better. Especially
okay.
Bedard. Can we say one thing here?
Yeah.
Looks like there's an RFA deal that has gotten done. It's not Wyatt Kaiser.
Oh.
Connor Zary closing in on a 3-year, $3.8 million AAV extension with the Calgary Flames, according to one Elliot Friedman. So as we get close, there's some big RFAs that are still out there, including Wyatt Kaiser.
I mean,
Zary would be off the board.
I know different positions.
I think if Zary's making 3.8, it's a different situation in Calgary. But then I don't think you give Kaiser more than that. Connor Zary's done much more for Calgary.
That's what I'm saying. I think you're looking at 3 max for. I know it's hard to compare different positions, etc. But yeah, I don't know. The more time that goes by, the more I worry about this Kaiser thing. But as we talked about all week, like, okay, if you're,
it doesn't benefit him to hold out.
It does not, and I kind of like the fact that if Davison is just being hardline on this and saying, "Look, man, we've got a number that we're willing to pay you." And we want you here. We love you. We respect you. If you're here, you're going to play. Mm-hmm. But we're not breaking the bank. We've got other options that can take your spot today.
Right.
Like if you started opening night in Florida with Del Mastro or Korchinski on your D, okay.
I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
No,
yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Would I prefer Wyatt Kaiser? Yeah. But I'm not going to give him $5 million over. Like, no. Like, there just hasn't been enough of a body of work, and there's plenty of depth behind you where if he wants a trade and someone wants Wyatt Kaiser, then say, okay, well, figure something out.
I mean, the team's better if he's around, but
100%.
It's to a point where it's just like it's not the defensive rotation is not make or break if he's in it or not.
And Reven says it's looking like a Boston Swayman situation. No, it's not, because Wyatt Kaiser has nothing close to the resume that Jeremy Swayman had when that was. Jeremy Swayman was one of the best goalies in the NHL when those contract negotiations with Boston were happening.
Yeah.
Wyatt Kaiser was a guy that split time between Chicago and Rockford last year. I know we love Wyatt Kaiser. I do too. 100% I want him back here, but like, let's not get it twisted. He is not around the league considered an elite defenseman or an elite prospect. He's a good, probably bottom pair guy on a playoff team.
Yeah. Which
is great. You can never have too many of them, but it would be foolish to just hand him the bag just because.
Right.
All right, I don't really have time to complain about EA Sports, but I'm going to try to do it quick. They ask you, hey, you're a big fan of the game. I play it every year, so I get the deluxe edition because I play Ultimate Team. So all excited for 11 a.m. today when it drops. Spend 15 minutes looking at a connecting screen. There's my TV.
That's the connecting screen right there.
That's it.
In all its glory.
That's it. That's what I'm looking at. So 15 minutes of that happening. I was going to get all the graphics for the Hawks ratings and Anton Frundell and Djurgårdens, what his ratings were and those sort of things. But nope. EA dropped the ball. Apparently didn't know that their worldwide launch was happening at 11 a.m. Central Time today and did not have servers ready. And I have to ask you, like, how in 2025 are servers not ready? What are we doing here? Like,
I feel like 9 out of 10 game early releases crash or have server problems nowadays. It's crazy.
Do you not have like
understand,
a testing period before this? It's annoying,
especially for a company like EA. And I said it, off the air. I'll say it again. EA has no competition.
Nope.
So there's no excuse, but there's also no pressure, and that's a horrible double-edged sword for sports video gaming. And they got crushed in the basketball market by 2K. And we're done. And when 2K had the NHL video game series, that was real competition for EA.
Like
I wish it could come back.
2K8 still holds up. And and I guess we're in overtime here officially, Katie.
Just a couple minutes.
What bugs me about it is NHL's had this reputation, and I think somewhat unfair, because realistically, EA says, here's your budget, here's your staff, make a game happen. They don't get the budget Madden gets. They don't get the budget that NBA 2K gets.
Or FIFA.
Or FIFA or whatever, because it doesn't make as much money.
Or whatever it's called now.
But you have this, you've made some changes at the request of the fans. You upgraded Be a Pro. You were saying, hey, look at this. The videos, all right, you've actually built some steam towards 26. Because to me, when you're on the ice playing the game, it's fun. Is it perfect? No. But I still have a blast playing it. So you build up some excitement. You finally have some people saying, you know what? After taking a couple years off, I'm actually going to check it out this year. And then you completely drop the ball. How many people were sitting there watching on their PlayStation or Xbox the countdown go down to hit 0, to hit play, and you're not ready for it?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all your your streaming partners like No Sleeves and Tactics and all those guys, Henrique, all of them, they're already on Twitch playing. They've been playing since last night or this morning. Nasher, right. Meanwhile, the people that plunked down $100 to play it a week early, are sitting there watching a connecting screen. And it's nothing against, we love, Cam has no control on that.
Right.
Those guys have no control on it. But it just is a bad look for people that, hey, all right, you know what? It's been a rough couple of years for NHL in terms of the modes I play, but I'm encouraged by what I've seen. So, yeah, here, vote of confidence. Here's $100 for the deluxe edition so I can play early and get my stuff. And you're excited to play. You're sitting down. You block out that hour to get a game in, and you sit down and try to play the game, and it doesn't work. And it's so aggravating. And I understand, people are frustrated. From what I understand, they've already fixed it, which is great. They addressed it. And as things happen all the time, there'll be some sort of, hey, here's a free pack for you for your troubles. They'll give you 3, 75 overall cards or whatever to make up for your frustration. But it just seems like it's something that's easily avoidable. And that's what's frustrating. It's like, how did you not foresee this? And someone in the chat said, just wait till GTA 6 comes out.
Oh, I've been waiting 10 years.
But I guarantee you that Rockstar Games is going to say,
it's going to smash.
This is not ready until it's ready. They've been delaying it for years because they want to get it just right, and that's going to include the servers. So if they have to push the launch of GTA 6 a week or a month to get the servers right, they're going to do it.
That game is going to make them not millions, billions of dollars.
I would imagine that GTA 5 has already made them billions.
Probably.
When you talk about,
I'm sure
it's people buying a game, microtransactions, and it's been what?
All the DLCs and everything.
When did that come out? 10 years ago?
I was watching people.
It was out for.
I was watching YouTuber GTA 5 game content in 2014.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years since that game has been out.
At least.
And it's gone through the different generations of Xboxes and PlayStations and everything, and GTA 6 has been rumored for.
It's been out since September 17th, 2013.
Yeah. Jesus. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So, no, I think it is rough, but it's an unfortunate reality that sports gamers have just kind of come to terms with. Just knowing that, you're going to pay money, you're going to get Madden, you're going to get NHL, you're going to get whatever, and very likely you're going to have to just deal with problems, which, I mean, man, I think about back in my day, when you would just get the disc, and that was the game.
That was it.
Like there wasn't like there were no patches, there were no updates. It was like this is the game, and if it's trash, it's on the developer. And if a developer put out a trash game, that was all that it was.
Yep.
Sometimes that bankrupted the company.
Yeah. I remember Cyberpunk came out, and the launch was a total disaster, and they had to go in and fix it and update. And finally, after like years, it became what it was supposed to be. By the way, I looked it up. GTA 5 generated $10 billion since its release. In the first 24 hours that GTA 5 came out, it made $815 million.
Holy crap.
It made $1 billion in the first 3 days.
Are we off fast? Holy shit.
Yes.
That's insane.
I mean, that's almost $1 billion.
I wonder why they've waited to put out GTA 6.
Hey, man.
Because they've made $10 billion. They could care less.
But they
got $10 billion.
They did a great job. They made a great game that still holds up. It's like the Red Dead game, too.
Yeah.
Like
People
Red
still
Dead
play
Redemption 2 took forever. And Rockstar took their time. They got it right, and it came out, and it was great from the second you hit start or X or whatever you hit to start your game.
I want them to bring back physical media discs and midnight releases at GameStop. Bring those back.
I remember camping out in college for the PS2.
I did a midnight release for Madden 05, might have been. That was fun.
That was fun.
I had a not Hollywood Video. Well, it was a Hollywood Video, but it had a EB Games attached to it. Oh
yeah.
And it was like right down the block from my house, and I remember going there and picking it up. It's good times.
Yeah. Well, we'll let you know Monday what the ratings are. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hopefully, yeah.
So anyway,
and Lebowski 5, they do have discs still, but I don't know anyone who buys the discs unless they just like to have it.
My
as a
PS5
souvenir.
doesn't even have a disc drive on it.
My Xbox doesn't.
Yeah. So anyway, get the Takeover tickets. They're going to be next time we talk to you. They'll be gone.
Oh, for sure.
That's a guarantee. So
I think for sure.
Yes.
They won't hit the public.
Yes. So allchgo.com/events. You got to be a diehard to get these tickets. If there are some left on Monday, we're opening it up to the public.
There might be.
But the benefits of being a CHGO diehard. So we got 3 takeovers. You can buy the 3-pack, whatever you want to do. But we can't wait to see you at the United Center. But more importantly, we'll see you Monday at 2, right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.